It's the McShay Show, presented by FanDuel. The NFL Draft is right around the corner, and FanDuel is the best place to get in on all the action. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use. FanDuel always has exclusive offers. When you win, you'll get paid instantly. And FanDuel has a lot of ways to bet the draft, with loads more coming between now and the first pick. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and make every moment more during the NFL Draft. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. The Bears just sent a message, aggressive in the trade market to protect Caleb Williams. Will pick 10 now be the first running back domino to fall? Post-combine, updated top 32. It's here. You won't find it anywhere else just yet.
Oh boy, here come those combine overreactions.
Yeah, probably. And we're using it to sort out what the non-quarterback market teams are looking to accomplish at the top of the NFL draft. Just 49 days until that NFL draft is here. You good, Muench?
I'm good, man.
Music, please. All right, so here we are. The dust is settled post-combine, right? Kind of inputted all the numbers, all the stories, all the intels here. And now it's kind of that feeling, right? Schefter, you're looking at your phone all the time, trying to figure out what's coming next. It's kind of the calm before the storm with free agency coming next week. We've already had a little bit of movement, though. And it's not surprising. I love the aggressiveness. I'm definitely interested in getting your take, Steve. The Bears go out and they make two huge additions along the offensive line. They needed to upgrade the offensive line, the interior probably more than even at the offensive tackle position. So in a 24-hour span, the Bears have now agreed to trade the 2025 sixth-round pick to the Rams for Jonah Jackson, who, by the way, 57 starts, if you don't remember. I know a lot of people don't like get into the weeds with offensive guards in the NFL, and it's understandable. But he had 57 starts for Ben Johnson in Detroit. Don't forget about that, right? Mm-hmm. And, Pro Bowl in 2021, some experience at center, too, in case they need to utilize his versatility.
Which is interesting, because they need some help there, too.
Yep, because Coleman Shelton is a UFA. And we'll see how that plays out. And they also, a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chiefs for Joe Thuney. Obviously,
love that one.
Yeah, started his career at the Patriots, did a lot of winning. Chiefs did a lot of winning. I'm a guard. Yeah, we need you to kick out to tackle. Yeah, I'll do that. The leadership is unparalleled in what he brings in terms of experience. Okay, so this is a guy who's not only going to upgrade the position, he's going to upgrade the room.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
So with that, and I want to get your kind of initial thoughts and take, but we're always kind of spinning forward to the draft. What does this mean? Personnel, building rosters. The Bears are obviously they're going all out to protect their asset. They did it with their head coach, one of the brilliant minds and offensive minds in the NFL, bringing in Ben Johnson. They've now done it with two trades before free agency started, wanted to get ahead of the curve, bring in a couple guys who are veterans who can plug in. They know exactly what they're getting. So at pick 10, is this Ashton Jeanty, Boise State running back? Is this Omarion Hampton, UNC running back? Or
the running back hype is real.
Or are they looking at it like we've talked about for months now, trying to explain to our audience over and over again? And thank you, by the way, for joining us. We appreciate I love this time of year, and we love the combine. We love all the numbers. We love the updated rankings. We're going to get to my updated top 32. Mensch will have a little fun with that. I probably overreacted here or there, and you can point out where you think I did. And oftentimes you're right, but not always. But now we start to get in, we kind of know the players that are going to be drafted. Not exactly where. We haven't finished our board, but we've got a sense of the players. So let's utilize that where we are in the process to take a look before we get into free agency. With so much time is spent on the quarterbacks. We spent a lot of time last show on Shedeur Sanders. the interview, intel that I was getting, Cam Ward, how he's clearly the top quarterback, some of the second tier quarterbacks like the Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck, and even Will Howard to a lesser degree. So with all that kind of pushed aside, we got a really good draft class at a lot of other positions. Loaded interior defensive line, a lot of good edge rushers. The running backs are phenomenal. Some good wide receivers, some good tight ends. So I feel like now is a really good time to give some attention to the other teams that aren't in the quarterback market. And that doesn't mean that the Titans, the Browns, the Giants at 3, the Raiders at 6, the Jets at 7, the Saints at 9, they're all going to go quarterback. Like we know that that's not the case. One definitely, maybe probably 2 in that top 10. But for the teams that we haven't been talking about a lot that aren't looking quarterback, I really want to hone in on that today. But it starts with the Bears because they're the ones making the headlines today. And I think it's important to take a look at their situation. From your perspective, what are your thoughts with these 2 moves right off the top?
I love it. I mean, Caleb Williams was sacked a league high 6 to 8 times last year. And some of that's on him. Don't get me wrong. That's not all on the offensive line. But obviously changes had to be made. It was the interior offensive line more than the offensive tackles. So, I mean, I think great GMs address needs in free agency and get value in the draft. That's what I think they do. You try to fill your needs, address those needs in free agency. So when you get to the draft, you the way it unfolds, you can play the board. So to me, it's great. And it may not, listen, I get it. It's 2 offensive guards. If you're a Bears fan, you might, you're like, whatever. It's 2 guards. And they spent a little bit.
I don't know though, man. If you're a Bears fan and you're really
if you're
watching,
a hardcore Bears fan,
you're like,
you should love this.
Thank goodness.
Right. You should love it. I think it's a great move. I don't think they overspent to do it. I think it's all around. You're addressing needs and you're doing it in the correct way. And now you're in a better position to be to make the most of the draft.
Yeah. And I look at it, right. And I'm going to keep going back. I got all sorts of screens going on here. I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm not ignoring the audience. Thank you again for watching on YouTube, watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify, and listening to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And you'll see, I'm not going to list all 32 players in the top 32. So there is some incentive, and it's not done for the incentive of tuning into YouTube or to Spotify in the video portion of it. But it's done for the incentive of not boring the listeners as I rip off 32 names, positions, and schools. But we'll get to that in a minute. With the Bears, I'm glad you mentioned offensive tackle not being quite as big an upgrade need, right?
Right.
Remember, they did spend a 2023 first round pick on Darnell Wright. He's been a better run blocker than in pass protection, but he's played okay. He hasn't been great. He's played okay. I don't think they're looking to upgrade that spot right now at right tackle.
No, I agree.
The interesting one is Braxton Jones, who's also been better as a run blocker than he has been in pass protection, has had some penalties. He gave up 5 sacks, I think it was a year ago. I think it was 7 penalties. So
and he's going into his contract here, just so to be aware of that as well. Right.
So I wonder now, center you mentioned, right? And Coleman Shelton is a unrestricted free agent. So are these 2 of 3 moves that we're going to see in terms of veterans that come in?
Mm-hmm.
I've read a little bit about like a Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah, Stanley. In. Yeah. I can't believe they're going to let him get out of Baltimore. I have a hard time believing that.
I agree with that too. So I guess the mindset is if they locate or identify an upgrade at tackle, that move would be made if it's something reasonable that they can afford to do. They were 5th in the league prior to the last 24 hours. Okay. 5th in the league in terms of cap space. Now, obviously that number is going to be reduced with the money they just spent there, but still have an awful lot of cap space to play around with during free agency. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Are they going to try to get an upgrade at center? Where are they going to move there? Is there a tackle they view as an upgrade? Are they going to draft one? maybe if not at 10, if not at 10. Don't forget this too. Very important. And Bears fans know this. They pick at 10, but they also pick at 39 because of that Carolina pick. The trade that they made, I should say. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Still getting some draft collateral for that, for the Bryce Young. And at 41, their original pick. So they've got 3 picks in the top 41. Okay? So we can kind of get into the offensive tackle class a little bit. But at 10, you got Ben Johnson, right?
Here we go. I can see the wheels spinning.
It's kind of the first thing that everyone thought. Because the question has been this, right? And I'm looking at my top 32 here. The question has been this all along. All right, Ashton Genty's so damn good. I've got him at 4. I'm so used to saying we. We've separate boards now. Mench is his own entity. I'm going to steal him back one day. I promise. But he's currently his own entity. I've got him at 4 overall behind Abdul Carter for Penn State, Travis Hunter, Colorado, Mason Graham, Michigan. Got him just ahead of Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. But where's he going to go? He's 4th best player. He's a running back. Where's he going to go? We got all these teams that need quarterbacks. We got some teams that need offensive tackle and edge rusher. We can identify a couple teams that need a tight end. But it's hard to identify a team in the top 15 outside of Dallas, which kind of the reports are now that Dallas, we're not going to go run
right.
And history has shown they'll ignore that, man.
Yeah.
So where's Ashton Genty going to go? So I think all the people who have draft on their mind when they saw this move, because all along is like they're going to go offensive line at pick 10. Still could. If Membu's sitting there, right? And,
no way.
A preview. I've got him as 11 overall top offensive lineman in my updated top 32. We'll pull that out in a minute. Let's wait a minute. Okay. We'll pull that out. But I've got him at 11 ahead, a few spots ahead of Will Campbell, who's at 14. Okay. Well, you say there's no chance he's there. That's fine. Maybe he's not. But I'm more interested in, does this now become, because to me their needs, offensive tackle is in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's more edge. You got Montez Sweat, but Jacob Martin, right?
Sweat had 5.5 sacks last year and led the team in sacks. Yeah, they need an edge.
Right?
Definitely.
They need an edge. Okay. So you're picking at 10, and we can get to who the guys are there, but we know Abdul Carter is going to be gone. I think Jalen Walker is going to be gone.
I think they'd love to get a Jalen Walker, but I think you're right.
I think he's probably, they pick after Carolina, they pick after the Saints. And we'll get to those teams in a little bit. So I just have a hard time believing that Walker's still going to be there. So now it's Mykel Williams. I love James Pierce. There's some stuff.
Oh, you think Walker's going before Williams?
I think, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not, I mean, we got all the time in the world to debate.
I'm just saying. So the only reason I say that is when you say that Walker's gone, in my mind, Williams is ahead of Walker. So if Walker's gone, Williams is gone too. That's why I asked you, because I wanted to know who you think is still, who are the chess pieces still on the board in terms of the edges.
Okay, so edge is a possibility there. Let's not rule it out, because it could be Mykel Williams, could be Jalen Walker. I think there's a drop off because of some of the baggage. When you're drafting in the top 10, you want that stuff to be clean. And I think with James Pierce and with Mike Green from Marshall, Pierce from Tennessee, the 2 edge rushers, I don't know that it's perfectly clean. Let's just leave it at that for right now. And then I look at Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, clean, but the production's not there. It's again top 10 pick. So that part's the truth. So edge, potentially offensive tackle, running back, and wide receiver. There's nobody in this class that's worth that pick. And if you're a Tet McMillan guy, then fine. And maybe they think that's the case. They've got Adunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Allen's a UFA, unrestricted free agent. All
It's
three
not a
were
first round need. It's not a first round.
I agree. I'm just giving information here.
Yeah.
All three, though, under 57 receiving yards per game last year.
Mm-hmm.
Keenan Allen's a UFA. Rome Odunze trending towards with better quarterback play, better protection, another year of experience, trending towards, kind of ascending and having a good career. So to me, it kind of is edge. If Membu's there and they're in love with them, you take him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this relieves them, as you said. Ryan Poles, the general manager. I think this relieves him of I have to.
Maybe.
Unless you believe Membu's a right tackle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
just
a tough
drafted.
one.
Yeah, I don't.
He plays on the left and unbalanced looks, but not long term. Yeah.
So it really is edge and running back for Chicago, in my opinion. Unless just a great player at a different position falls that we don't expect, like a Mason Graham fall. So this would be an interesting spot for Ben Johnson, that offense, the production they get from running back. If they're able to spread things out and throw the ball the way that they were in Detroit, I'm not saying it's going to happen next year because it ain't. But if it starts to move towards that, there's a lot of value in that running back position, and both of the guys at the top can catch the ball, Ginty and Hampton.
Yeah.
Both of these guys are 3-down backs. Now that's different than Detroit, where it was one guy. You've got DeAndre Swift, you got Roshan Johnson, so you don't have to drown these guys in carries and touches early on, because you're not winning a Super Bowl in 2025. So let's get them in the system. Let's get production out of them. Let's build this thing. But the focus is shifted towards 2026 in terms of when we think we have a chance to really start being serious contenders, right? That's got to be the mindset.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Who you taking? I want to know who you would take. That's what I want to know. I'll tell you right now what I would do, and that's take the offensive tackle. And I think offensive tackles are going to get pushed up in terms of value. It might be a Josh Simmons. It might be a Kelvin Banks. I don't care. I'm building
Josh Simmons ain't going 10.
Probably not. Kelvin
Josh
Banks
Simmons ain't going 10. I've talked to a lot of people in the league. He ain't going 10.
Entertain trading back, and if you can't do that, take the edge that falls to you. If you're not comfortable with the offensive tackle there, take the edge. I'm saying it, as I've said before, you got to build your trenches first. And to me, you could talk about what Ben Johnson had in that backfield in Detroit, and you could also talk about what he had in that front five. I mean, that offensive line in Detroit's pretty damn good. So I love I get it. It's entertaining, and it would not bother me at all if they took Ginty and those two backs and what they could do, and Ben Johnson watching him do his thing. Really cool. I don't think that's how you build championship teams. They're not a player away from a championship. I've said this about other players. Genty's a luxury that the Bears cannot afford right now. They need players up front. And if you don't like Simmons, if you don't like Banks, I get it. Try to trade back. That's kind of like everyone wants to do that. Try to trade back or take the edge. They need an edge. Build from the trenches out. That's how I feel. Who would you take?
Yeah, no, I was pulling up real quickly. Like Detroit, the two previous years, the years prior to the Jahmyr Gibbs, which was a luxury pick, and the Sam Laporta with the third pick in the second round at 34. Jack Campbell wedged in between at 18 at linebacker. Brian Branch at 45. Those were pieces with the foundation already set.
Right.
And the previous 2 years was Aiden Hutchinson, first overall pick. Now they brought in Jamison Williams knowing he wasn't going to provide anything as a rookie. But down the line, that was a pick. We knew at the time in 2022 that was a pick for 2023.
Right.
Go back to 2021. It was Penei Sewell, Anzarike.
Yeah.
Josh Paschal and Josh Paschal was the third round pick in 2022. So it was a bunch of foundation pieces, 2021, 2022. they had the team then, and then it was, I don't call them luxury picks, but it was, all right, now we've built that foundation. Let's put a skylight in. Let's let's
a
deal
water
with
feature.
Yeah. A roof.
Who are you
deck,
taking?
a crow's nest.
Taking?
Who's on the board at edge?
I thought Walker might be there. You think he's gone?
I do. And it's a good way to transition. I want to get to these other teams. I think Walker's gone.
Okay. If Mike Hell's there, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, I've got him down at 15. But I love these backs, man.
I know you. Listen, I love them too.
Yeah, but I can get another one. I hear you. You're the voice of reason.
It's a
sometimes.
siren song, man. They're just like bringing you to the rocks.
Yeah, I can't sit here and bitch and moan about teams and why don't they get it? And you get your quarterback, build the foundation, get me defensive linemen, get me offensive tackles. You're right. But it's sexy though. It's sexy as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're
I
fun
just
to
brought
talk
in 2
about.
veteran offensive interior linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I get the star quarterback. I get Ben Johnson, what he did with Jahmyr Gibbs. It's sexy as hell. Right?
It is. I agree.
But that's why we talk.
Stay the course, man.
Because if you get a Michael Williams here, but what if Michael, Jalen, and Membu are all gone? Because that's a legitimate scenario, and we're going to get into that in a second. Because I think that's
a legitimate scenario.
Truly.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
Then it gets interesting.
Yeah,
and but I still think a Banks is going to move up. I just think that those guys, like, I don't know. I think a guy like Banks is going to move up. Address that offensive line. Continue to build that offensive line.
Okay. It's fascinating. That's why I wanted to do it. But picks 39 and 41, like, just take 30 seconds here. And this is why you do the combo. Like, I am the biggest believer, and I talk to GMs all the time. You got to look at it as in a combo pick scenario. And you're certainly not going to take a player who's in a lower tier, a lower bracket, a lower, a lower bucket, whatever you call it. But if they're in that same bucket and have similar grades, and you look and say, all right, Membu's here or Michael's here, what am I getting at that position when I get down to 39? And my board says Membu's gone. Will Campbell's gone. We're talking offensive tackles. Kelvin Banks is gone.
Yeah.
Josh Simmons is gone, I think, later than people think. So now we're looking at Josh Connerly, potentially, if he's still there at 39. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a risk.
Versus, yeah, I get Ashton Ginty. And I'm hoping that Connerly's there because after that, there's a bigger drop off there. But if I go offensive tackle here, or if I go edge here at 39, I might probably not Travion Henderson, but Quinshawn Judkins. You know what I mean? Or 41.
Pick one. There's
Caleb Johnson from Iowa.
Right.
And even
Caleb Johnson,
even at edge, I feel like, there's still some guys at edge.
Yeah.
Femi Oladejo from UCLA is going to be available. Nick Scorton, Texas A&M. Braden Swinson, LSU. So, I think there's a lot of combo stuff that you got to do there.
Right. I agree.
All right. I mentioned the top 32. We're just going to do it here for these purposes. We got to, by the way, looking ahead. This is Thursday's podcast every week. If you're joining us, we appreciate all your support. Stick with us here. I mean, we got, what did I say? 49 days until the draft, Mitch. This is Thursdays every Monday afternoon, every Thursday, first thing in the morning. You can count on us. There's going to be additional ones. As we get closer to the draft. There's going to be some emergency times that we got to pop on. Flash pod, right? Just like a flash mock, flash pods.
That'll be the best.
Because stuff's going to happen. And this is my office. I watch my tape there. Got all my screens there. Same for you. We'll jump in. We'll yell out to Tucker. Get the bat phone. Conor, Dan, Eduardo, Mark. We'll get everyone involved. We'll just make some calls. And it might be a skeleton crew. It might be you and I plugging in some things. But those are the dates you can rely on us. On Monday, we're gonna get into some free agency stuff. What's happened between now and then, and then we're gonna talk mock draft. It's coming soon. There's discussion here, and I'm interested. What do you guys think, audience? Shoot us a note.
Right.
Do we do the mock draft right as free agency starting next Thursday, or do we push it back the following week once the dust is settled? I'm up for anything, but I need a mock. You. I spent like 5-7 years being like, oh, more mocks. Kuiper's making up more mocks, scenarios mocks, and 3-round snake league mocks, all this stuff he's making up. But like I feel an itch now because so much has changed from mock 1.0 based off the combine.
Right.
Now we're starting to see some movement, but we're going to push it off probably to the following week, but it could be next Thursday. We'll let you know on Monday when we're back. But for now, and maybe, you know what? Let's do the top 100 next week. That's what we're going to do. All the dust will be settled. We'll go through the top 100, get that board set so that when we roll out the mock, we know what players we're dealing with. And then we'll give free agency a little bit of time to breathe. I love when we just this is like a show meeting on air, right?
Figure it out and run.
So that's what we're going to do. So let's take a look at the top 32. I want you to study this, Muench. This is new to you, I know.
Here we go.
I think we broke it up. Tucker broke it up into 16s. There we go. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham. Edge, corner, interior defensive line. That's the top tier for me. Next tier is Ashton Genty at running back. Tyler Warren, tight end. Jalen Walker, as I mentioned. And Cam Ward. Jahdae Barron, cornerback, Texas. Colston Loveland, the second tight end. Omarion Hampton, the second running back. That's my top 10.
Okay.
Right after that, I already mentioned the 2 offensive tackles. Membu from Missouri, Campbell from LSU, 10 and 14 respectively. Tyler Booker at 12 guard. Kenneth Grant, the other Michigan defensive tackle, 13. Michael is there at 15. Feels a little low now that I'm looking at it. But still developing. I don't know. We'll sort it all out, but this is a good gauge. And then at the bottom of the top 16, Shedeur Sanders, Colorado. The next 16, let's roll it out. You're going to be interested in this one. Your boy, Nick Emanwari, South Carolina safety. Listen, DBs and wide receivers, they move more than any other positions, combine workouts. What I saw from Emanwari, I've seen a couple other times where I was just floored. Absolutely floored. When you put up those numbers at 220 pounds, do something that only a handful of guys or no other guys have ever done over 200 pounds. And the vertical jump, the broad jump, the 40-yard dash, and combine it with really good, not perfect, but really good tape and versatility. Emanwari is probably the biggest riser, up to 18. You got Jahad Campbell and Will Johnson bracketing him. Matthew Golden, I mentioned. There's a new OT one, and that was Membu. You saw it in the first flip. Here you go in the second screen, Matthew Golden, WR1. Then we get a bunch of edges. I mentioned Shamar Stewart, James Pierce, Mike Green, another player really moving up. Conversations, intel about the character, about the way he plays, and also the just fastest guy at the 40, fastest guy at the combine with his 40-yard dash, 4.28. Maxwell Hairston, Kentucky. A couple more, one more offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks. We get a wide receiver run right there. 4 more wide receivers. This is where I think they're going to go, Muench. 5 wide receivers from 20 to 32, starting with Golden, and then Tet McMillan at 26, Ibuka from Ohio State, 27, Higgins, Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. I needed an excuse to get the Iowa State wide receivers in the first round. They gave me one. Big, tall, physical receiver, great at getting off of press, runs really good routes, and ran the 40 time and had the jumps. Jalen Noel, undersized, slot receiver extraordinaire. Routes are exceptional. Ball skills, exceptional. I needed an excuse. He gave me one. He's at 31 overall. And the two biggest surprises, I think, to you will be I get two more quarterbacks in the top 32. Screw it. Screw it. Honest to God, I like these guys. And if you tell me there's a chance that they can be a solid to pretty good starter in the NFL at quarterback, I don't have a problem throwing them up there. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. Tyler Shuck, Louisville. Have at
protecting your own. Listen, man, this is the greatest defensive tackle class that we can remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? How many did you have in the? It's deep. How many did you have in the top 32? 2. What are we doing? We're going to throw in. I love Jalen Noel.
Walter Nolan might not go as high as people think.
I've heard that too.
Okay.
But
Darius Alexander's early second for me. Tyleik Williams, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders.
Derek Harmon.
Derek Harmon, I had right. I thought you were going to like the Derek Harmon. I got him at 33.
Dude, you're missing some defensive tackles. Jalen Noel, who I love, is a slot receiver.
Yeah, so is Ladd McConkey.
Reaction.
So is Ladd.
You think that he has the same kind of tape as Ladd McConkey?
I don't think the tape's that far off, bro.
Interesting. Then that's fine by me.
I hear you.
That's fine. I think Ladd was a better prospect.
Slightly, yeah. But it also was a class that was a lot deeper, too.
Emeka, great.
No one had a problem.
Receiver.
He was drafted too late. What was Ladd? 26, 20?
Yeah.
And he was drafted too late. I had Ladd last year in my top 25. And I made a decision with Ladd and Ricky Pearsall. I've just decided, I feel like for so long it was like, well, they don't fit the mold and they're not the true number one and all that. And then guys would come out and they'd be second, third round picks. And they'd go on to have unbelievable rookie years and careers. Why am I always, I had this epiphany last year. If you love them, if their tape's phenomenal, and then allow them the opportunity to earn that spot somewhere in the top 32, 35. One of these fringe guys. They've always been like fringe guys. We'll put them early in the second. And those guys wind up going and have better careers than guys drafted like 12 or 10. All these fringe guys, I've always kept them out looking in. Yeah, last year I was like, come on in, lad. Come on in. You belong here. But I remember distinctly, but I'm going to give him an opportunity. Let's see if the workout's as good as I think based off the tape. And it was. And it's the same with Higgins. And it's the same with Noel. And I get it, he's slot receiver, but I'm going to play him at Z. Tell me he can't run routes on the outside. Tell me we can't. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's, again, great second round receiver, which second round receivers have had a lot of success in the league. There's no doubt about it. I thought you were high on some of the receivers. Kelvin Banks is 25th best player in this draft now. The offensive tackles, it feels like you're brutal on. The defensive tackles, it feels like you're brutal on. Not surprising.
Who's your third defensive tackle that belongs in the top 32? You can't say. I've got you in a bind now because you can't say Harmon because you were bitching at me last week because I
said Nolan. It's Nolan and Grant. It's Graham, Nolan, Grant. I think TJ Sanders is up there. I think that I think Tyleik Williams is absolutely on the fringe of being a first round guy. I think he probably goes in the second. I understand that, but I'm not worried about. I don't do mock draft top 32s like some people. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying that I don't. I do the top 32 players in the draft. And just as all of a sudden, because Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck might get drafted in the first round, there they are.
Oh, I don't. I'm not hearing anything.
I understand.
I'm not hearing anything about them getting drafted in the first round. I'm not.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
And I recognize I'm a little high on them.
Top 32 players in this draft?
But if I think there's a really good chance that Tyler Shuck can be a starter and a pretty good one in the league, and that the injuries were broken bones and they're flukes, and that he has a maturity about him and a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to come in ready to contribute, whether that's as a backup who's going to help in the room but get his ass ready to play, or something happens and he winds up being able to, like, of all these quarterbacks, I promise you, if you were to say, Todd, there's a 3-game stretch in the middle of 2025, pick one of these rookie quarterbacks that you believe is most ready to come in and play. Which one is it?
To me?
No, Todd.
Yep.
I love the
Todd.
Yeah, exactly. Cam Ward obviously has the best skill set, and I think that it would be an argument, but I definitely think in a rookie season over Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders, I'm trusting Shuck more. So why wouldn't I have him in the top 32?
I'm not taking the bait. You know what? This is you baiting me. We came in today and we're going to talk about quarterback. We're not going to talk about quarterbacks. Then you throw 2 in your top 32. You're just baiting me to talk about these quarterbacks. And I'm not doing it. We're going to save it for another day.
So let's move on. As our coaches used to say at Richmond.
Riverside.
Move the drill. Someone's injured. Who cares? Move the drill.
I can't believe I took the bait.
Keep practice going. Riverside.
Oh, man.
All right. So let's get back to it. We've talked a lot about Tennessee, their options and where they're going. I think absolutely it comes down to a few things. I think, is Abdul Carter that quote unquote generational talent? Is he going to be a double-digit sack guy just about every year? Is he going to be what you build the defense around? If you think so, you stay at one, you take him. Is Travis Hunter the generational talent? Do you have a plan where you can utilize his unbelievable skill set, his ability to get his hands on that football and do something with that football in his hands? If you think that's the guy, you stay at one and take him. Is Cam Ward so good that you draft him at 1? Why is Cleveland, according to Adam Schefter, so determined and so pleased with Cam Ward at 2, but they're not at 1? Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, there's quarterback talk surrounding the Titans. There's all sorts of quarterback talk surrounding Cleveland. There's quarterback talk just coming out of the pores, the New York Giants. Whether it's Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, Shedeur Sanders, moving up for Cam Ward. That's all the talk.
Quarterbacks again. Here we go.
So let's get to pick 4. They've got their quarterback. Drake May. We've spent a lot of time talking. You get your quarterback. Now let's get foundation pieces. What do you pick 4 and 38? I want to do this combo pick as we go throughout. We're going to do the Patriots at 4, the Jaguars at 5. We're going to get down. We're going to go past the Raiders and the Jets. We've talked an awful lot about those 2 organizations with quarterback needs. We're going to go to Carolina at 8. We're going to go to New Orleans at 9. I don't think they're going quarterback in the first round. And then we're going to skip Chicago. We just covered Chicago top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll see how far we get in this, but I'd like to get at least down to the goal is Atlanta at 15, but I definitely San Francisco at 11, Dallas at 12, Miami at 13, Indianapolis at 14, Atlanta at 15. Okay. So let's start with New England. They pick at 4 and they pick at 38. We know they got a lot. I mean, I was looking at their roster today, man.
It's a mess. You
could argue it may not be the least talented roster, but it's right there. Like offensive tackle, you got Lowe, DeMontre Jacobs, wide receivers, Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, Booty.
I like Pop Douglas. He's just a 3.
Polk and Baker. Yeah. Pop Douglas. Yeah, but he's their 1.
I know. That's crazy.
Okay. Defensive tackle, Barrymore, the blood clots, expected back, but like that's a concern.
At the end of last year, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, concern. Dedrick Wise, Keon White, Jennings, 12 and a half sacks between those three at edge. Need more. Just need more.
Yeah, every Patriots fan's like, yeah, McShay, we know we suck. Who we take?
No, but that now I'm handing it to you, Muench. You're picking at 4. Let's do, for the sake of this argument, I'm gonna cross guys off, and let's say Abdul Carter goes 1.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, he's probably going to go 2 or 3. Wherever Ward doesn't go, Carter's next up in my mind, or goes just before.
I couldn't agree more.
Carter's gone. Cam Ward's gone. The interesting part is it Shador at 3? If right. No one trades out, is it Abdul Carter 1, Cam Ward 2, and then the Giants take Shador at 3?
Let's play it that way, just because that gives us more position players to play with.
Wonderful. All right, so now You're sitting at 4. Now you're sitting at 4. You got Travis Hunter. You got Mason Graham, New England Patriots. Honest to God, I think it would come down to those 2 guys.
I'm taking the tackle. I'm taking Armand Membu.
Okay.
You could say it's a reach. You got him at 11. You got him 11 overall right now, right?
Yeah, and I could have gone higher, to be honest.
Right.
I could have. I promise.
Ascending player, positional value, guy who had a great workout at the combine. I don't know. It's not that much of a reach for me. And they are desperately looking for the reason to pull a trigger on offensive tackle here. Explain
to listeners and viewers what he is. I could do it, but I love getting your analysis on offensive. Forget the numbers. I'll back it up with the numbers, because the numbers are surprising based off of the tape that we've studied together and you've studied independently from me and vice versa. But when we're talking about Membu, because now we're talking about him, all right, like this could be and should be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done that a lot. We've talked about Membu, right. Big guy, 333 pounds. Give again, elevator pitch. If you got 30 seconds with the GM on the elevator, you're trying to explain to him why we should take Armand Membu coming out of Missouri. What is it?
Big, athletic, extremely high ceiling, great zone blocker. His ability to seal the edge and climb to the second level is unique for a player with that size. Maybe not a finished product as a pass blocker, but it has every tool in the toolbox to be an elite pass blocker at the NFL level.
Starting right tackle, though, right?
Correct. They need both, so who cares?
Yeah. Okay. And to back that up, just so people understand, because all the talk was, and may still be, I don't want to, like, it's not like he's got short arms, so he's not going to be the first offensive tackle. Like, he very well could be. But Campbell was just under 6'6", 319, so a little taller, but 14 pounds less, or 13 pounds lighter than 6'4" and a quarter for Membu, and 332 pounds. But what Membu did, again, Campbell's workout was awesome. He ran a 4.98 in the 40-yard dash. He had a 32-inch vertical, 9.5 broad. Like, those are really, really good numbers. Mm-hmm. Sub 5 seconds. And you know what's funny? I don't know that everyone knows this. The correlation to success in the NFL, the 40-yard dash correlates more with an offensive tackle running a sub 4.5 than it does with a wide receiver running a sub
5. Yeah, but yeah.
Sorry, a sub 5 second 40 than it does a wide receiver running a sub 4.4. Isn't that weird? But it does. Weird. It shows the lower body explosion, I think, is part of it. You combine that with the jumps. So with Membu, he ran a 4.91 compared to that 4.98 at 13 more pounds that he's carrying. And it also had a 9.7 compared to the 9.5 vertical or broad, and a 34 instead of the 32. So you're talking bigger, more explosive, and about an inch longer arms.
Yeah. Guys like that are tough to find, man. Offensive tackles are tough to find. Do I wish he had 34.5-inch arms? Yeah, sure. I wish that for all the offensive tackles we're evaluating. But guy like that's tough to find, and they desperately need help along the offensive line. I mean, they are desperate for help along the offensive line, and I'm not sure who they're getting in the free agent market. I don't know who they're going to get. They need to find a way to get an offensive tackle, and I don't think he's that much of a reach there. I'm taking him.
I don't totally disagree with you, man.
I think
It'll
people
be
have Will Campbell there. If you thought Will Campbell could go there, I don't understand why you
Mason
don't think
Graham's a tremendous player.
awesome player. Love Mason Graham.
Yeah. But if Barrymore's healthy, yeah. Jalen Walker, if you've got that high of a grade on him, but you're still, there's some risk there as an off the ball linebacker, hybrid edge.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah. I
can't get on board, man. Like people are like dogs with bones with Tet McMillan. And I get it. Vrabes came out and said, I need a big physical X. I need someone who's going to be a dog and all that. Yeah, you do.
That ain't him.
That ain't him to me. Maybe to some other people. Really athletic, long, acrobatic catches, adjust beautifully, can get down the field. Hell no.
Hell no. I'm not taking any of these receivers at 4, just to be clear.
I'm not taking any of these receivers in the top at least 10, probably
Agreed.
15.
Agreed.
And I love Matthew Golden, and I see the ability with Tet McMillan. But I think the free agency market's going to be fascinating because there's a lot of big name guys and there's a lot of pretty good players. Christian Kirk is probably going to be released, is the information that came out on Wednesday.
DK Metcalf might be on the move.
Metcalf could be on the move. I mean, Devontae Adams released. I mean, there's and the list goes on and on. Brandon Ayuk, I've heard rumors now.
Yeah, that's too.
Brandon Ayuk in New England.
Yeah, they might.
Patriots have been trying for over a year to land a receiver. I get it. The weather's not great up here, and the taxes suck. Like,
come on,
they
man.
do. They do. It's tax season too, brother. But
it's gonna be a tight 3-hour pod.
All right, so that's the Patriots. I think that's fascinating, and what a shift that would be. Because from OT1 to making that transition from Campbell, in our minds, I'm not saying this reflects the league. It doesn't matter what Kuiper has, Jeremiah has. Doesn't matter what I have or what Muench has. It doesn't matter if 29 or 31 of the teams have Campbell over Membo. If the Patriots do, and if they like their tape the way we like his tape, they like his tape. And you saw that workout. Yeah, I'm not going to put up a fight with you, Muench. All right, so that's New England. So then let's cross off Membo. Let's just do this exercise appropriately.
Yep.
Now we get to Jacksonville at 5. I think they need a defensive tackle. I would race up.
Oh, you can't get the pick in quick enough if Mason Graham's there.
Ledbetter's an unrestricted. They need a difference maker.
Drafted a guy in the 2nd and the 4th last year, but it hasn't really panned out. They need to continue to build on the inside of that defensive line.
And they need secondary help, right? They like Andre Sisco's free agency, Ronald Darby, Monteric Brown, Andrew Wingard, all entering contract years in 25. They're going to address that secondary, but it's not here. I don't think they're not. I love Jahdae Barron as much as anyone in the world. But that's not the pick at 5 when you got a Mason Graham staring at you, right? I do think it's important. Now let's look at the combo picks here. If you get a Mason Graham here,
right?
Because their needs are this: center guard, interior defensive line, corner, safety, wide receiver, slot, presumably now, right? With Christian Kirk heading out of town. So
you can get
with
some
that,
good players.
Yeah, that's my point. You pick again at 36, and you're looking at it, and there's positions. I mean, there's players to fit those positions like everywhere. Donovan Jackson, if he's their interior offensive line. If you're looking at cornerback, a lot of good. Benjamin Morrison, Notre Dame could still be there.
Thomas could drop. Ravel could drop. Like, there's some dudes that could be available in the 2nd.
Yes. How do you pronounce his first name again? Why this is going to be a problem all year long?
Azarea?
No, Revel.
Oh, Savone.
Savone. It's a silent H, Todd.
There's Dan.
Wouldn't have been a
Dan
problem
pitching
if
in.
I didn't get into a fight with you and think I had the right way to pronounce it, and then you didn't. So now I question myself every single time. All right, so Revel, all those guys. Wide
Yep.
receivers, slots, like Luther Burden's going to probably be available. Jalen Noel, as much as I love him, could very well be available. So you're going to have your choice, and it's going to be a guy that you really like that's going to be sitting there at 36. Take the best player. And in Jacksonville's case, I truly think that it's one of the top positions in need. Mason Graham. Vegas
Quickly,
sitting its – yeah, sorry.
Quickly, in this scenario, Travis Hunter falls out of the top 5 like I said he would.
I forgot he was there.
So do you want to change your pick?
Yeah, I would take Travis Hunter goes to Jacksonville.
Ahead of Graham.
You're telling me the Khan family's going to let Travis Hunter not be a Jacksonville Jaguar?
Or what are we doing here? Are we projecting who we think they're going to take or who you would take there?
I'd take Travis Hunter if
you're telling me who they would take, I would tell you.
I've got a major need at corner. I need a wide receiver who's a slot, and you're taking Mason Graham over him. Okay,
I'm sticking to my principles. What I think is going to build a championship team. So if you're taking Hunter, though, let's take Hunter off the board. Let's
yeah. Well, so here's the beauty of it. We know for a fact Cam Ward's going to be gone. Abdul Carter's going to be gone. For this case, it's going to be Shador's gone at the Giants. But if he's not, we get the Raiders and Jets at 6 and 7, right? Mm-hmm. So the top 2 quarterbacks are gone. I'm sure they got a deal done. I'm fascinated to see where Shador goes, man. We went Membu, the offensive tackle, Mason Graham, and here's what I'm saying: Mason Graham and Hunter will be gone by the time we get to pick 8, because we're skipping over the 2 quarterback needy teams, the Raiders at 6 and the Jets at 7. So you have to assume Travis Hunter's gone, Abdul Carter's gone, Mason Graham's gone. And the 2 quarterbacks are gone, Ward and Shador.
Okay.
That's only 6 picks, but let's keep an additional player out there for the fun of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we get to the Carolina Panthers. They have a need at edge. Derek Brown, their star is returning from injury. Their pass rush is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Take Jalen
traded
Walker,
Brian Burns last year. Yeah, but I do have one that I love.
You would take Michael. You would take Michael.
No. Oh, who? I have one that I love here.
What?
Colston Loveland sneaks in at 8. Think about this for a second. I get it. I'm not saying that I'm probably running up with Jalen Walker, but keep Loveland in the back of your mind. They got 3 free agent tight ends. They got Jatavian Sanders last year from Texas. Good. I thought he was a good year. But you're getting a guy who's an absolute difference maker that you can come in and give a playmaker to Bryce Young. Now I've been screaming up and down that you can't they can't afford a player like Loveland at this pick, and it's true. But this is the one where I love the idea of it happening. Again, I'm running up and taking Jalen Walker, but Colston Loveland in a Panthers uniform is interesting to me.
Well, Tyler Warren's still on the board.
Oh, that's true too. I could have gone Warren. I was actually thinking Warren earlier, but yeah, one of those 2. Take Warren. I would take Warren over Loveland, but I love both of those.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Give him a playmaker, but their pass rush is so atrocious that
I'm going to go edge.
They
here.
have to.
I'm going to go. Let's just go Walker here, but Warren's still on the board unless he's that one player,
right?
That winds up going. He's not going to the Raiders.
Right.
Could go to the Jets.
The Raiders don't need him. Yeah. Could go to the Jets.
So let's just say, I guess for these purposes, let's say Warren's off the board.
I like it. Yeah.
Or we could give Warren. So here we are at 9, the Saints. Let's say Warren's off the board. I don't think Warren's going to get to 9, to 8 or 9. So let's just say he winds up with one of those teams. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Warren's gone. I still think this could be Loveland here.
Yeah.
So the Saints pick at 9 and 40. Okay.
Right.
From all the intel I'm getting, it's not going to be quarterback this year. They've got a big need. Go ahead.
There's some Spencer Rattler love, which I think is interesting. They still have him on the roster. Spencer Rattler. I felt like there was some love for Spencer Rattler down in Indianapolis that I was surprised by.
Okay.
Yeah. For what it's worth.
I'm glad you mentioned it. Let's look, but let's look at they pick at 9 and 40. Cam Jordan. Let's look at edge. Cam Jordan's in his 15th year. Carl Granderson. They've got unrestricted free agents and Chase Young and Peyton Turner. Like they really could use an edge. Wide receiver. They got Olave,
just like everyone else.
Rashid Shaheed. MVS is a UFA. Valdez Scantling. So like, and then tight end. They need a tight end. So to me, this is Michael or Loveland. In this scenario, right?
Yep.
And then if you look at it again, like if you take the edge here at tight end, you got Mason Taylor, or you got Elijah Arroyo.
You still got good options.
In Miami. Yeah. You do. Mm-hmm. So that will be in consideration.
Right.
If you go the tight end here, Loveland, who, by the way, I finished up the tape right before the combine. I love Mason Taylor. And I think there's a lot of potential for Arroyo. Loveland is different.
Right.
Loveland's got a chance to be like an elite tight end in the league. I'll be really surprised if both Warren and Loveland are not elite, like top 5, top 7, top 5 tight ends in the league in a couple of years.
Yeah.
The other guys are really good and have promise.
As much as I like that tight end class, I think it's a great class. There's more depth in the edge. I think there's more depth at edge.
Yeah. So if you go tight end here, at edge, we're picking at 40 for the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
We're assuming at that point Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, James Pierce, Mike Green are all gone.
Right.
Donovan Ezeruku from Boston College he could be gone by 40, but he would be probably the top of the list, near the top of the list. Beyond that, you got Nick Scorton, Femi Oladejo, UCLA, Braden Swinson.
I like
2
Swinson.
Ohio State guys. So there's edge guys too.
Yeah. Let's go Loveland.
Okay. I don't disagree. But that it's just as much about talking it through and looking what the combinations are and getting a sense of who the players are that fit in these like hotbeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we saw there in that, to me, we know the quarterbacks, but in the first 9 pick, it's like every team has a wide receiver need. There isn't a wide receiver.
Right.
Just about every team needs an edge.
Everyone's
Some of the teams need interior defensive line, but not many. Couple of them need tight end, but not really until there's no like glaring need at tight end until you get to 9. And offensive tackles, handful of them, right? So to your point, yeah, they're probably going to come off the board earlier than people would like to take them and earlier than people think at this point. All right. Chicago, we covered at 10 extensively. San Francisco, pick 11. My goodness, they have needs now.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Yes.
This is a roster that's in. If you listen to Schefter's podcast, they're going to lose some guys too. Like they're going to lose, guys in the secondary. Dre Greenlaw, looks like they're going to lose. They just lost. They just traded Debo. Maybe traded Ayuk. Like this is a different situation than we can think of in recent times for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. Javarius Ward, IY contracts are running up. Like,
might not be back. Yep.
So the way I look at it now, like, I think there's a handful. I think cornerback, defensive tackle, edge, offensive tackle are probably the top 4. Right?
Yeah. I got a sneaky one.
What?
I think with Greenlaw possibly leaving, Jihad Campbell. Yeah, man. Jahad Campbell next to Fred Warner. I like to watch that very much. And then you get him to help out with your pass rush a little bit, which I think Campbell can do. Oh man, I just think that's a fun pick for me. And one of those great edges
up there.
Do we still have Michael on the board? So he's still there. That'd be real tempting, but I love Jahad Campbell there. I think that's a great. He seems like a 49er to me.
If you're going to lose Charvarius Ward, and the guy who can do what Ward does in terms of man and zone and instincts, and
I had him. Yeah,
that's a possibility too.
Yeah, Will Johnson, you're talking about?
I was thinking both of them.
Jade.
Jade's still available.
True. Jade's still there. Yep.
It's not running back. These guys are still available.
No.
Ginty and Hampton. And then San Francisco picks again at 43. I mean,
right.
I mean, when you need corner, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, offensive line, like
they could go Tyler Booker there too. That's another interesting Alabama name. Tyler Booker.
Yeah. But are you in a position? I just listed off like 4 of the most important positions.
Right. I'm taking an edge over a guard.
Yeah. But are you doing that? I mean, you still have Bosa. I don't know.
It's tough. You take Jade, right?
I do. For some reason, I don't think they will.
Right.
I think that they're going to look to upgrade their offensive line or defensive line.
So we both have picks we like here, and we don't think either one of them will be the pick.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, based on your board, we should probably go Booker or Williams as the guy that's going to come off here.
Yeah, let's go Michael Williams because I think he could come off earlier anyway.
Agree.
This is just for an exercise. Doesn't really matter. All right, Dallas is up at 12. Everyone's talked running back with them. Running back is absolutely a huge need. Released Ezekiel Elliott late in the season. Rico Dowdle is a free agent. They need a guy. It would make too much sense for them to draft Ashton Ginty or Omari and Hampton. Right? Dallas picks at 12 and then again at 44. You look at the combo pick and you say, and we talked about like hotbeds for certain positions. This to me is the hotbed for guard Tyler Booker. 12 Dallas, Miami 13, Colts 14. Sure, they'd love it if Chris Ballard took another interior offensive lineman that high. You know what I mean? I think this is kind of that hotbed. When I talked to like everyone in the league felt like they wanted to talk about Booker, they wanted to talk about his character, they wanted to talk about his tape, and they wanted to tell me he's coming off the board earlier than I thought. Mm-hmm. Well, this isn't much earlier than I thought. This is about, so I think Tyler Booker's in play for the next 3 picks. I also think your safety starts to get in play at 13 Miami, Imanori, and 14 Colts. I'm not saying he's going to go there, but 13, 14, and 15 with the Falcons all have safety needs. So I think that's kind of his little range.
So you're are you taking Booker with Dallas?
I think they could. I think Kenneth Grant would be at play here.
Interesting.
But I think they've got to protect their quarterback. They got to protect Dak. Yeah, I think I would go Booker here.
Yeah, they just lost 7-time All-Pro guard Zach Martin to retirement.
Yeah, it just feels like the right thing to do. It's
do you consider Will Campbell? Do you think he's a guard, and do you think you would consider him here?
Yeah, I would consider it. I don't disagree. I'd have to work him out at guard and feel really good about it when I send my offensive line coach and my offensive coordinator and feel really good about what I'm seeing in a comfort level. But yeah, let's go Booker here for just to move it along. But I do think then we look at running back. Here's the thing with Cowboys fans, because there's a really good chance, if what I'm hearing is true, that it's not going to be Ginty. It's not going to be Hampton here at 12. And let's say it's not. And if they go Booker here and you're booing because they're taking an Alabama guard, what are we doing? I get it. But then in round 2, at pick 44 for the Cowboys, you're looking at Quinshon Judkins, right? Another Ohio State running back there at Zeke's long run. You're looking at Caleb Johnson, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
There's dudes. And even beyond that, when we get to, like the DJ Giddens, the Bashul Tutins, even in round 3, because in round 2, I got news for you. You might be taking advantage of this interior defensive line class because you're unbelievably desperate for a running back, but you can find one. You're also desperate for difference makers, impact players along the defensive front. And if you could get a Darius Alexander at 44, if you could get an Omar Norman lot. So like Tyleek Williams, if he's still there.
Just to be clear, they signed Osa Ogadigazua.
Yeah, they did today. That's right.
But they still need more help. I think they still are in the market.
That's right. I just saw that before we came on. You're right. But yeah, that's where they are.
Might also see what wide receiver falls to him in the early second round. I think they're going to take a receiver with Brandon Cooks being a free agent. They could be in the free agent the wide receiver market of the second round.
So let's go Booker there though. But still on this board is Ashton Ginty,
mm-hmm.
Jahdae Barron.
Yep.
That's hard for me. Jahdae Barron still my number 8 player still on the board. Pick 13. Omarion Hampton, North Carolina running back. Kenneth Grant. These are more regional. Kenneth Grant, Will Campbell, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, Michigan, LSU, respectively. But Jahad Campbell, inside linebacker, Alabama. Nick Emanwari, safety, South Carolina. And Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. Well, I'm not as high on as everybody else. I'm sorry. Here we get to Miami. They have a need at safety. They have a need at guard. They have a need at defensive tackle.
Kenneth Grant's my guy here. Just because I think he's such a great fit for that scheme. The Anthony Weaver scheme where he can play on the inside shade of the offensive tackle. He can play on the outside shade of the defensive tackle. Just a unique athlete. I know Calais Campbell's situation is up in the air, but at the end of the day, even if he comes back, he's 38 years old. And you have a guy in Kenneth Grant who's just, I think, could just excel in that scheme. The Anthony Weaver scheme is sort of like he's got that Ravens background. So if people are familiar with that, they have a good idea what he wants to do with his defensive linemen, get into gaps, wreak havoc. Kenneth Grant is tailor-made for what Miami wants to do up front. And Nick Emanwari makes sense too, because they just came out and said they're not going to tag Javon Holland. And Jordan Poyer is a free agent. So they have a pressing need at safety. And
Tyrell Dodson and Anthony Walker are headed to free agency as well.
Yeah. But give me Kenneth Grant. The fit. I just love the fit.
Here's the thing. If you're a Dolphins fan, there's going to be a damn good football player, whether it's safety, guard, linebacker, defensive tackle, all their positions. Now it comes down to
this is a good spot to be in the
Greer
first round.
and that front office making the right decision. Which guy do they believe in the most? Because they're going to have their pick of the litter, basically. And then at 48 again, if you go guard here, you can go safety or linebacker, defensive tackle there. There's going to be depth at those positions, more so defensive tackle, interestingly enough.
Right. True.
So Miami, for their needs, and they've got more than they'd like, and they got a lot of guys exiting stage left, but there's going to be players at both positions. Let's rip through these next two real quickly. Indianapolis Colts. I think they have an absolute need, and they've got to protect their quarterback, whoever it's going to be. But I think Booker's probably gone between Dallas at 12 and Miami at 13. I think Tyler Booker's gone. Tight end, if Loveland's still here,
take him.
Yep. But if Booker's gone and Loveland's gone, Emanwari could be a fit here. Cornerback though, Jahdae Barron's still on the board. Again, in a good position.
Shamar Stewart still there. I mean, I just value edge, get another edge. Like
Jihad Campbell is still here too.
Mm-hmm.
With the versatility he can bring.
It's a good spot to be in.
That's why this part of the reason why I like doing this exercise, because it felt like, I don't know, when you were like picks 7, 8, 9, am I really getting that value there? But you start and even 11, right? But you start to get like 12. And once you've gotten that, you've cleared out that top tier, which isn't that long as it normally is. That list isn't as long.
Right.
You get now to this like 12, 13, 14, 15 range. And you're like, all right, there's a lot of good players at a lot of different positions.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
I know I've told you not to do this all of this pod. If you love Jackson Dart, do you consider him at 14? They've said they're bringing in competition.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, Muench.
Are you thinking, maybe?
That would signal you're absolutely done with Anthony Richardson.
I know. The politics of it are brutal.
I don't even worry about but like, I'd have to know.
Mean?
Chris would have to, like, I'd have to like be in those meetings and be like, where are we really? Because nobody outside, very few outside that building truly know what's actually going on. We all think we do, and it ain't great. It's not pretty. But where are they mentally? If you're opening it back up and you're public about it,
right?
Well, I think that the writing's on the wall, right?
Right. There's some signaling there.
This would be too high. Trading back in, because they pick at 45, trading back in or trading up in the second.
It's weird because I've always heard from someone that I really respect and I've worked with for years. If you love a quarterback and you're in love with what a quarterback can do, it's never too high.
Yes, thank you. But every conversation has to have a perspective to it.
Right.
My thing is here, you can sit back and wait. Remember, we just talked to Howie Roseman, who was awesome, by the way, in that interview. People, the comments I'm getting, like people, the personal side of him it's not often that you get to see from any of these general managers, especially a Super Bowl winning general manager. He was absolutely hysterical, but very insightful. And it was just a lot of fun. It's on our YouTube homepage, if you want to check that out. But he talked about like Jalen Hurts and sitting back and waiting. We talked to Eric DaCosta about the organization sitting back and waiting until there's the right spot and move up.
So you take someone else here and then try to move back.
I mean, you're talking about maybe getting a Colston Loveland or a Booker or Eamon Worry. You know what I mean? Get a difference maker and then identify. That's where you have to trust your intel and identify the spot where you have to, if you really like a Jackson Dart or a Tyler Shuck. All right, last one, 15. Feels like an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Safety's also in need.
I like the position. I'm going to curveball you.
Corner, center, wide receiver. What do you got?
No, it's the edge. I like the edge position. I'm going with Donovan Ezra-Aruko. And I know you're going to say it's too early. I don't think so, man. I love this kid's tape and I love the way he uses his hands. I'm higher on him than you are. And we'll see what happens with the Mike Green stuff and the James Pierce stuff. I think he's a cleaner prospect right now, and we might be having a different conversation in a couple weeks. I understand that. But who's the new defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons? It's former Jets interim coach, Jeff Ulbrich. Yep. And Jeff Ulbrich had a certain smaller, leaner, I wouldn't say smaller, but leaner edge rusher with the Jets named Will McDonald that had 10.5 sacks last year. If you're looking at that scheme, you're looking at a player who's talented. Yeah, I know you might think it's early at 15. I think he's a first-round pick, man. I do. I think that kid's a first-round pick. Maybe that's a little bit early, but I'm going to stick it in your mind. Something to think about.
Okay.
Again, I like the fits. If
I watched it. I'm done with his tape.
I know.
I mean, you're never fully done. I'll go back and I'll try to send me like a clip of what you're seeing. I saw it all. He's brilliant with his hands. He's at his best when he can get in and then like identify or locate and get off of blocks. I just didn't see the same explosiveness, the traits, the change of direct. I don't know. Although his body control was outstanding.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I just didn't see I thought he was a notch below. But I hear you. All right. This has been fun. I like it.
Can I give you one later in the draft real quick? Because what it would mean. Just this is what I would hope.
Yeah.
And I know you're on board because of the running backs. The Vikings at pick 24 take Ohio State running back Quinshawn Junkins. Because what that would mean is that Genty or Hampton somehow goes 10, goes to the Bears or go to the Cowboys, and then there would have to be a waterfall effect of these running backs. I think he would be the fourth off of the board. And I know that the Chargers, there's some talk about Najee Harris, but the Chargers could take it back. Denver could take it back. And then all of a sudden, if you get Chicago, Denver, Chargers all take backs, and then Minnesota takes one, it'll be the first time 4 running backs go in the first round since 2008. That was a class that had, Darren McFadden, Rashard Mendenhall, Jonathan Stewart. And I would love for this class of running backs to be in that same conversation. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I don't think it's going to happen. But it would be awesome because of what it would mean for that class. And Junkins is coming off a
Felix
monster
Jones,
workout.
Too. Felix Jones.
They're all what was the name of the burner who played for Chris Johnson was in that class.
Oh,
that
class
was loaded.
Fastest 40 time for a long time, the combine. This is fun, man. I love the scenarios. I hope everyone viewing and listening kind of followed along. We got to drop the top 32. Muench hates it. I'm too high on a couple quarterbacks. I get it. Not high enough on interior defensive linemen, but he can't tell me which one he would put in.
I did. I told you.
Which one?
Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
You didn't have him in there.
No, I think, yeah.
And I'm moving Derek Harmon up, so I'm back on board with the Derek Harmon thing. And Tyleek Williams.
Great. This is what I get to do with in March and April. Okay. Again, we are back on Monday, every Thursday. Monday afternoons, Thursday, first thing in the morning. You get up, don't want to get out of bed yet. Instead of just like laying there and watching the morning news, pop the show on. But we will, we've got a mock draft coming up in the next 10 days. Top 100, we're going to post on the newsletter. We've got a newsletter coming out in just what is today? Thursday? Yeah, newsletter is getting ready to drop. Okay? Subscribe if you can. We truly appreciate it. Subscribe to the podcast, The McShay Show. Go to Google, The McShay Report. Type in The McShay Report and you'll see it right there. It's the fastest way to get there. $4 through the rest of this draft. $36 for this year, all off season, during the season, and all of next draft. We're going to literally walk you through our entire process, get you ahead of the chains, if you will, in terms of who the prospects we are. We get an initial list of a whole bunch of players. We'll identify the top 100 we're watching tape on. Then more players' names will come flooding in. We're going to walk you through that whole process. So it's a full year round the clock type thing. But $4 to get through the next 2 months. You saw some of the intel we had with Shedeur Sanders, with the Giants, with some of the players rising. We're going to just keep bringing everything I got in that report and here on the podcast and the McShay Show. Thank you for watching. We will see you again Monday afternoon, and things are going to ramp up with free agency. We're just going to be reacting. That's going to be a fun week. So thanks again. We'll see you soon. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.